What is going on, Clutch Crew Sports fans? This is Connor, the co-host with the most, back with another NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs edition episode. Here we are. We have reached the finals of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and I am here to recap what happened in the conference finals between the Lightning and the Rangers, and the Avalanche and the Oilers, and make my official prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals. I guess we'll start in the West because the West was the less interesting of the two. The Colorado Avalanche picking up their second sweep of the playoffs, sweeping the Edmonton Oilers 4-0. Pretty poor performance by the Edmonton Oilers in this series. I knew that their lack of defense and goaltending was going to catch up to them eventually. I did mention in the last episode that, because that was when the Avalanche were up 3-0, that I thought the Oilers would win Game 4, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Avalanche won Game 4, and that if the Oilers had won Game 4, that the Avalanche would win Game 5. Turns out the Avalanche won Game 4 and completed the sweep. The Oilers, just Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl getting this far in the playoffs just to get eliminated in very unceremonious fashion. There's not really a whole lot to analyze out of this series other than Colorado just completely dominated the whole series. I mean, the offense was good, the defense was good, the goaltending was good. They've had a new guy in goal recently. Darcy Kemper's not been playing. They have a new goaltender, and he's been playing really well, especially against a really high-powered team like the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid kind of did his thing, but I mentioned in the last episode that Leon Draisaitl had been really quiet throughout the series. He did get a goal in Game 4, but it's just a little bit too little too late for the Edmonton Oilers. I know there was a little bit of controversy at the end of Game 4 with the call. Was it a goal? Was it not? I think it was a good goal. I think the stick was below his shoulders. The commentators also kind of agreed that it was really close, and since they called it a goal on the ice, that it should stand as a goal. But really, I mean, if Oilers fans want to complain, then they should probably try complaining about the other games, because honestly, I don't think that would have really made too much of a difference. I think the Avalanche probably would have still gone on to win that game in overtime, and if not, even if the Oilers did win, I think the Avalanche would have easily taken Game 5. So nothing too big there for the Avalanche and the Oilers. Did not go 6 games like I predicted, but I did get the winner correct with the Colorado Avalanche. On the flip side, the more interesting series, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Rangers, this series played out exactly how I thought it would play out. When I made my prediction video over a week ago about how this series would play out, it played out the exact way that I thought. I thought Tampa Bay would be rusty coming out of the gate, given that they had swept the Florida Panthers, and the Rangers were coming off a 7-game series against the Hurricanes. So, you have a lot of time off there, and it makes you rusty. And the Lightning looked really rusty in Game 1. They lost Game 1 6-2. Looked like they got everything kind of back together in Game 2, but they still lost Game 2. And then they went on and won Games 3 through 6. Exactly how I said. I said the Rangers would win the first 2, and then the Lightning would take the next 4 in a row, and that's exactly what happened. The Tampa Bay Lightning going to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup Final, trying to become the first NHL team, or the first, I don't even know the last time an NHL team three-peated. I think it was the Islanders back in the 80s, or maybe it was the Oilers, one of those two teams. But they're trying to become the first North American Big Four sports team to three-peat since the Los Angeles Lakers did it in the 1999 to 2001 when they won 3 straight NBA titles. No other Big Four sports team has won 3 straight titles since then. The Lightning have been trying to become the first team to do that. This series, it was really just kind of characterized by the Rangers having problems playing 5-on-5 hockey. Igor Shesterkin was really good. The power play for the Rangers was really good, as always. Seemed like every single game they were getting a power play goal from somewhere. Mika Zibanejad had a couple. Frank Vatrano had the big one in Game 6 to keep the Rangers in the game there towards the end, despite the fact that Tampa was dominating the whole time. But just a severe kind of lack of good 5-on-5 play. I mean, they had a lot of good 5-on-5 play in Game 1, but again, the Lightning were really rusty. Vasilevsky didn't look like himself. And just a lack of 5-on-5 goals and good defensive 5-on-5 play for the New York Rangers. It's special teams and goaltending is what wins you series, but they can't be the only things that win a series for you. If you have good special teams and good goaltending to go along with your good 5-on-5 play, you're hardly ever going to lose. And if you take the Rangers, it's the way that they were able to beat the Hurricanes was that they had better goaltending and better special teams than the Hurricanes did, while being on par or maybe a little bit below the Hurricanes when it came to 5-on-5 play. But when it came to the Lightning, even though they had better special teams, I would argue that the goaltending was probably a push. Vasilevsky is obviously really good, but just when you compare the Lightning and the Rangers, their 5-on-5 play, the Lightning 5-on-5 play was way better, and that's how the majority of the game is played. So if you're not good on 5-on-5, then more than likely you're not going to win most of these games. So the Rangers definitely collapsed. I know there were a lot of Rangers fans that were calling for a sweep after they won the first 2 games, but, like I said at the beginning of this series, that I knew that the Lightning would come back, and I said that they would win 4 in a row, and they did. So now it sets up a Stanley Cup Final between the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like I said, Tampa, they're seeking their 3rd straight title. The Avalanche, this is the first time they've been to the finals, if I'm correct. I know they haven't won one since 2001, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time they've been to the finals since 2001 too. So a very long drought for the Colorado Avalanche getting to the finals. The Avalanche clearly have had the easier road coming through the playoffs. They swept the Nashville Predators. They went 6 games with the Blues, and then they swept the Oilers. Whereas the Lightning, they had to endure a 7-game series against Toronto. They did end up sweeping the Panthers, but then, of course, they had to endure the 6-game series with the Rangers, having to come back from being down 2-0. So the Avalanche are definitely the more rested team, but all in all, in my mind, if I have to make a prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals, originally I had Carolina and Colorado here. So I got the Western Conference right, but unfortunately the Hurricanes didn't do it for me in the East. But if I have to make a prediction, I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to take this series in 7 games. Now, the Avalanche, obviously, like I said, they've got 2 sweeps under their belt, and I know a lot of people are predicting the Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup at this point, even though the Lightning are obviously very good. The Avalanche are hot. They're, a lot of people thought they probably should have won the Stanley Cup last year, despite their early exit. A lot of people consider this to be the best team in hockey, and I honestly just don't think that's true. I think they're definitely a top 5 team, but I would not call them the best team in hockey right now. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are the best team in hockey. They've played a lot stiffer competition in the East than the Avalanche have. Obviously, if you look at the matchups round by round, the Avalanche played the Predator. Obviously, the Lightning had to have a little bit of a tougher road because they were a lower seed. But, the Avalanche played the Predators, who honestly shouldn't have even been in the playoffs in the first place. They were just there because they kind of squeaked in. I don't really count them as a playoff team. Whereas the Lightning had to go through the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, who, kind of had a real resurgent year this year. And just kind of, did the typical Toronto Maple Leafs thing and fall apart in the playoffs. Because Toronto had Tampa on the ropes there. Toronto was up 3-2, and Tampa was able to come back and win the next 2 and win the series. Then you go to the next round. Colorado playing against St. Louis. St. Louis, a very underrated team. A lot of people were counting them out. A lot of people had picked them to lose to Minnesota. I picked them to beat Minnesota because I knew they were underrated. They had a really good power play. And St. Louis did give them a little bit of a series. The Avalanche were up 3-1. The Blues were able to win Game 5 on the road to force it to go back to St. Louis, but unfortunately for the Blues, they could not win Game 6, and the Avalanche took it. While the Lightning, they swept the Florida Panthers, but the Florida Panthers were the President's Trophy winners. They were the top offense in hockey. I've mentioned before their defensive struggles, but still, they completely shut down the top offense in hockey. Vasilevsky was his usual brilliant Vasilevsky self, and they took him down. And then, even if you look at the 3rd round here in the conference finals, the Avalanche played the Oilers, a really good offense, but a team that has 0 defense and 0 goaltending, versus the Rangers, a team that has really good defense and really good goaltending. And, they took out another top team and the Carolina Hurricanes the round before. So the Lightning have definitely played a lot stiffer competition. I think a lot of people are a little bit overestimating the Colorado Avalanche because of the way that they've gone through the playoffs. But if you look at their opponents, in my mind, they've played a lot weaker competition than the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it shows that the Tampa Bay Lightning are, in my mind, the best team in hockey right now. And I think the Lightning are going to win in 7 games. I think Vasilevsky, he's going to be by far the best goaltender that the Avalanche have played this playoffs. Some of the goaltenders in St. Louis that they had to face, Binnington and Husso, were good. But, other than that, they got to play Nashville without UC Saros. And, Mike Smith is just, I don't even know how he still has a job as a starting goaltender in the league. I mean, I guess Edmonton doesn't have anyone else, but, you know, Vasilevsky is going to be by far the best goaltender they've faced. This is going to be by far the best defense they've faced. And in terms of offense, it may not be the best offense per se, because the best offense could have been Edmonton, but it's very close. I mean, Tampa Bay is another one of the top offenses in the league. Steven Stamkos is playing out of his mind right now. And they should potentially, it's kind of up in the air. I'm not sure what the news is with him, but they could potentially be getting Braden Point back. And if they get Braden Point back, that first power play unit is just going to be deadly. The power play for the Lightning did have some struggles in the conference finals towards the end there, but I definitely think they can get it going again. And I think the Avalanche are just going to be I think they're going to be a little rusty, of course. Like, every team that comes off a sweep is a little rusty, We saw it with the Avalanche against the Blues, and then, of course, the Lightning against the Rangers. They're going to look rusty. I think the Avalanche are going to be rusty, and this is not a series that they can afford to fall behind in. And the Lightning know how to win on the road. That's something that, it seems like a lot of these teams have had trouble with in the playoffs. The Lightning know how to win on the road, and they've gotten it done multiple times on the road. So the Lightning are not going to be intimidated. They're not going to be scared of playing in Colorado. The Lightning are going to know how to get in it, and they've been here before. They have the experience. John Cooper has the experience as a coach, and in my mind, it's all kind of coming together for a Lightning three-peat. I know Zach will be happy about that. Personally, I will be very happy if I get this prediction wrong. I'm going to be rooting for the Colorado Avalanche, but if I have to go with a logical, unbiased opinion, I have to say the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to take the series in 7 games and get the three-peat done. So I know Zach will be watching this very closely, given that the Lightning are his team. Who knows, maybe he'll be adding another little picture, Stanley Cup Champions picture, to his slide once the series is done. Hopefully I'll get to watch some of it. I'm going to be on a cruise for a little bit of this series, so I might miss some of the games, but it should be a really exciting series to watch. I think these definitely are the best 2 teams in hockey, because sometimes you kind of get these Stanley Cup matchups where one team kind of gets a Cinderella run when they really don't deserve to be there. Last year, I think, was a perfect example of that. The Lightning, of course, deserved to be there, but then they were playing Montreal, who I knew the Lightning were just going to completely stomp the Canadiens, and they did, because the Canadiens just kind of had one of those magical Cinderella-type runs that really shouldn't have happened, and ended up being a pretty boring finals last year because Montreal really was not anywhere close to the level of Tampa Bay. Kind of the same thing back in the bubble, too, I think, with the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is definitely going to be the Lightning's biggest test in the finals for sure that they've had over the course of their 3 Stanley Cup Finals appearances. This is definitely the best team they're going to play, so should make for an exciting series. Like I said, I hope it goes 7 games because that's good for the fans. I hope I'm wrong because I hope the Avalanche win. I can't have Tampa three-peating again. I know it'll make Zach happy, but it won't make me happy as a Hurricanes fan. But, who knows? I'm just here for good hockey. But thanks everyone so much for watching. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I have our Clutch Crew Sports Twitter. Actually, is it this way or is it this way? I can't remember which way it is. It's in one of the corners down here. I have our Clutch Crew Sports Twitter as well as my Twitter handle. Make sure you go and give those a follow. Leave some comments or questions on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've not already. So that way you can get notified about all of our new videos coming out. We're making a lot more content. I know Eric has talked about it a lot in some of his videos, that we're making more content now. So make sure you subscribe so you can stay notified about all of that. Leave any comments you have down below. Like the video, and I will see you guys next time. I will see you guys at the conclusion of this series for one final recap of the hockey season. So that way we can wrap it up in a nice little ball, and it will be the end of hockey season until next year. But until then, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.